Appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Dion's Daily Dose for Saturday, the 26th of September, 2020. Today was a long day. I just got home a little while ago and had to feed the teenager. He was starving. That's why we ended up having to leave. We left before it was over because every 5 minutes it was, Dad, I'm hungry. Dad, I'm starving. Dad. But that aside, we went to a scheduled and fully prepped and planned, with permission from the city, Back the Blue rally today in Portage. And I tell you, there were some very interesting observations that I had today. Hey, Jack. I'm going to tell you, first of all, there were some people that made some assumptions. And it's interesting to me because I'm going to tell you, there were no political things whatsoever. No one had any Trump gear on. No one had a Biden sign. There were no Trump flags. Nothing like that. There was no Trump gear. There were a few people who screamed expletives about Trump. Now, I find that interesting. We did have some thin blue line flags, right, where you have the flag and it has the blue line in it. Back the Blue posters, signs. We had a few things like that, right? Blue Lives Matter, stuff like that. And there were some, F Trump and F you and Trump sucks and blah, 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 blah. Here's the point. I find it very interesting that people assume that those who back our police departments are automatically Trump voters. What does that say about Biden and the Democrat Party? And I'm being serious here. I'm not being facetious. If you see someone who supports our police, does that automatically mean they're Republicans? Because the inverse of that means that if someone is anti-police, does that automatically make them a Democrat? And that's interesting to me because I had this shirt on, right? My campaign shirt, my campaign polo, but I didn't have any, again, like I said, no Trump stuff, no nothing. And I want to tell you this. We walked, it was in Portage. We went to the park there. We came all the way up, down by Burger King, went down several blocks, turned, came back up, and stopped at the Burger King there, and we're on the corner. A few people made the round several times. There were a lot of people that either said they were coming or were interested, like 100 and so people, but we only got a couple dozen maybe total in and out, people stopping by. Mark Leyva was there. I did want to say that. Shout out to Mark. He was there. He had his shirt on, and he had a sign that said Leyva. I think it said Leyva supports the blue or backs the blue, maybe something like that. We started walking. We started walking from the park, and we got water loaded up in a couple of vehicles, and they went up to where we were gonna kind of hang out on the corner at, and the rest of us were gonna walk up there. And we start walking. We get close to the bridge there, and Donovan goes, "Hey, where's where's that Leyva guy at? And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, he was behind us. Now I don't see him. So I look back, and his shirt is orange, and it's orange with black print, uh, yellow, orange. It looks more orange to me, but yellow, orange. And I look back, and I don't see him. And so I asked a couple of people. They're like, "Yeah, he went back and got his van and drove it up there, and he's going to wait for us." So on the one hand, smart. I don't know. I walked with them, and I'm gonna tell you, this is no secret. I have a bad back. I walked up there and hung out for a while. Leyva hung out for like, I don't know, an hour or so, and then took off. I don't know what else he had going on, but he came out. He showed his support, so good for him. I want to tell you, we had overwhelming support. People honking, waving, thumbs up, smiling, all that. For every at least 15 to 20 horn honks and waves, one negative, right? Maybe. It overwhelmingly positive. We had a couple of people. There was one guy who stood on the opposite corner and was screaming stuff at us, but it's such a big intersection there that we couldn't hear anything he was saying. Just a lot of, movements and screaming, but again, he's so far away that we couldn't hear him. Something about Jesus and like Jesus, Satan, Trump, something, 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 and he was just yelling over and over and over. And then we had a couple of people that would drive by and flip us off because apparently being pro-police is bad to some people. And then there were those people that, like I said before, would say, F Trump or whatever, despite us clearly having no political anything out there, simply back the blue. That's what we were there to do, is to show the men and women of law enforcement, especially locally, that, believe it or not, there are people who believe in you. There are people who appreciate you, and there are people who don't wish you harm. We had a couple of people who would make the block screaming stuff at us, but definite minority in that number as compared to the overwhelming support that we received. One thing I'll let you know, when we were there, a couple of people tried to go to Burger King to use the restroom, and they locked the doors at Burger King so that, people who were supporting our police officers couldn't come in to use the restroom. But other people pulled in and went in, so it wasn't closed. They just didn't want us in there. So I didn't go there. I went somewhere else to use the restroom because you don't want us there. I'm not gonna continue to try to go in there. But vast majority of people were supportive and kind. We got thumbs up, we got honks, we got waves, we got smiles, tons and tons and tons of honks. I mean, we didn't say, honk if you back the blue, but they would honk and wave at us. And I mean, at least 15 to 20, maybe more ratio of positive to negative, like 30 to 1, 15, 20 to 1 ratio. And it was good. It was really good. We stayed there for a few hours. It started at 2. Donovan was really, really hungry by this time. And he's like, "Dad, I'm starving. Dad, can we please go get some food, Dad?" And I'm going to tell you, had Burger King not pulled what they pulled, I might have just walked over there and got him some food or gone through the drive-thru or whatever. But apparently, whoever was working at the Burger King at the time didn't want to let people who support our police officers in. I'm sure you've seen that Minneapolis defunded their police department, or tried, right? Everybody called for the defunding of the police there. And then they were shocked and surprised when violent crimes, murders, uh, all kinds of other things started happening. Oh my goodness, right? You yank funding from the police department and then are shocked and surprised when crime rises. I know. I know. So hard to believe, right? I mean, just, oh. And ultimately, we have to ask ourselves, right? Is the way forward? Oh, by the way, latest update, because I actually looked it up before I went, because I was gonna say some stuff, but we didn't feel like there were enough people there initially to give speeches or any of that stuff. We just kind of got together, had a prayer, and then walked up there, hung out for a little while, showing our support for the men and women in blue. But I looked up the latest the latest happenings, if you will, on the Minneapolis Police Department and their the city council's defunding efforts. And if you look it up now, a lot of these politicians that are in power in the city freely admit that, well, this didn't work out like we thought it would. Well, it was more of an ideological thing. We know that, this isn't going to be very practical. As a matter of fact, we have to kind of start rolling back and blah 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 blah. It's always the same stuff. They do this stuff for pandering. They do it to pander for votes, and it's blatantly obvious. Um, that's kind of where we're at. I don't understand people that have this mentality. Oh, there he is. This is the gentleman that put it on. Of course, we absolutely were thrilled to be there. We appreciate you setting it up, and we were happy to come out. I'm going to tell you, we have seen some of the most heinous things happen to our officers lately. Just people walking up to the car and shooting them, people setting traps for them, just insanity. And I don't understand how people can honestly, truly believe that demonizing law enforcement and pulling the plug on their funding is the way to safer neighborhoods. It blows my mind. There are ways to address, because look, no system is perfect. Our legal system isn't perfect. I agree with that. I agree that there are issues that need to be resolved. But demonizing the men and women of law enforcement is not the way to do so. Just like in Indiana State Prison when I worked there, you would have that tiny little fraction of screw ups, that tiny little faction of people that just would do the dumbest stuff possible. Those are the people that make the front page, but they are the very, very tiny minority. Just like we experience today, right? Today, you have the vast majority of people showing support. I'd say even over half of the people that would pass by would show some degree of support, even if it was just a wave, a thumbs up. We had people, this is the kind of protest I'm talking about. This is the kind of support that we need to see. The majority of people were very supportive, but we would have that tiny itty bitty little fraction of people that would come by and either scream something stupid out of the window, and many times it was really difficult to understand. Just so you know, if you drive by a protest and you scream something, most of the time people have no idea what you're saying. They just don't. I had no idea what most of these people were saying. Generally, you can pick out the ones that are negative because they got that furrow on the face. They got that half twist in the face that's like makes them look all clawy or whatever. And I find it interesting the level of twisted anger generally that goes into opinion. Um, Remember, these are the people that talk about how generally who talk about how hateful Trump is and how hateful the right is, but the police aren't burning down our cities. The police aren't attacking law-abiding citizens. The police and conservatives are not terrorizing populations. They're not attacking people because they believe a little differently than they do. We actually had a mini. I think it was an SUV. I think it was an SUV or minivan. I think it was an SUV that drove by, and this girl in there yelled out "Black Lives Matter." I was like, okay. Someone asked her or replied to her that all lives matter. She's like, no, they don't. So wait a minute. Whoa. Your life doesn't matter? And her actual answer was, no, it doesn't. These are people that are brainwashed. They are delusional. Absolutely delusional. And it's unfortunate. They have been indoctrinated into believing that either they are lesser human beings, or that because they have experienced privilege for most of their lives, that they don't deserve the same things that everyone else does, like simple human respect and life. And it's tragic. That's really what it comes down to. Ultimately, it is tragic. I struggle with understanding how people can wake up every morning and feel like your life has less value than any other person out there. This is something that is being preached and indoctrinated. Our students, our many cases, family members are being indoctrinated into this belief system. Real quick, I'm going to share something with you that I actually just learned before I came on. Let me see if I can bring it up. I didn't get a chance to open my link like I normally do. Let's see. I think this is it. Yeah, here it is. So, again, I just saw this right before I got on. And this is my issue with things like these lives matter, these lives don't, whatever. And I just want to show you. So, an Atlanta activist apparently spent 200 grand in Black Lives Matter donations on house personal expenses, according to the FBI. Sir Major Page, 32, is facing fraud and money laundering charges. The FBI has arrested the founder of a Black Lives Matter group in Atlanta on fraud and money laundering charges. Sir Major Page, 32, was accused Friday of misappropriating $200,000 in donations he solicited through Facebook on behalf of Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta, Fox 5 Atlanta reported Friday. Page was arrested in Toledo and released on bond after appearing before a judge via video. He did not immediately return messages Saturday from Fox News. The Toledo FBI office opened an investigation last year after a cooperating witness submitted a fraud complaint against Page, whose real name is Tyree Conyers Page, FBI agent Matthew DeSorbo said in the complaint. Page founded Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta in 2016, and this year took in more than $466,000 in donations in June, July, and August. So over $100,000 a month, like 125, 150, 175. I don't know. It's not broken down, but $500,000 over the course of 3 months. In some, Page has spent over $200,000 on personal items generated from donations received through BLMGA Facebook page with no identifiable purchase or expenditure for social or racial justice, he said. The FBI in Toledo said Page pledged to use those donations, quote, for George Floyd, end quote, but instead used the money, I think they mean to make purchases related to food, dining, entertainment, clothing, furniture, a home security system, tailored suits, and accessories. According to the Bureau, Page also used $112,000 of the donated money to purchase a house for himself in Toledo, Ohio. The transaction took place last month. This is his mugshot from a prior arrest. You mean he has a record? No. Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta could not solicit donations after losing its tax-exempt status as a charity in 2019 for failing to submit to the IRS 990 tax returns listing donations and expenditures. Fox 5 reported in 2016 that Page became a familiar face at Black Lives Matter marches in Atlanta to protest fatal police shootings. He was part of a group of black activists who met with then Atlanta Mayor Kasim Reed to demand changes in police training and tactics. Page even spoke at a joint news conference, according to the station. At the time, Page had been arrested several times for impersonating a police officer, the station reported. According to the station, months earlier, Page had parted ways with the Black Lives Matter of Atlanta movement before forming Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean? This means that it's not about racial justice. It's about getting money. It's all about the money. Just like always. At least in this case, right? And it's unfortunate because all other things aside, are there people who are using this for political purposes? Absolutely. But I'm willing to bet that your average college student just believes the rhetoric that they're told. They believe the indoctrination that the professor or their fellow students are doing to them to make them feel bad for the color of their skin, to make them feel responsible for things that were done long before they were ever a twinkle in their daddy's eye. Enough, people, enough. Let's come together. Let's celebrate the diversity of this country, because that's what makes America amazing. It's what makes America great, is the melting pot, the many, many different backgrounds, cultures. The thing that makes America so amazing is the fact that you can't tell who's American by looking at them. You can't tell if I'm an American just by the way I look. You have no idea. That's what makes America amazing, because any of us can be American, and it has nothing to do with the way we look, the way we talk, any of that. Jack has a good point. Your business on Google now has a celebrating Black-owned business. Can now add this special attribute to their business profile. What about female-owned business, etc.? It's a rush to jump on the political train. That's where we're at. So here's where we're at. Remember, coming up on Tuesday, we have our first watch party / meet and greet. It's going to be at Chesterton at the American Legion there. We are going to have a local business that is going to have the food for us. It's supposed to be really, really good, is what I hear. We are going to have silent auction items. We're going to have some stuff that is in the works, and we are going to try to make it as awesome as we can. And look, for those people there are those people out there who are concerned that maybe, just maybe, they may not be able to be there because they don't expect there's going to be debate. Don't worry about that. if for some reason the debate is called off, or let's say Joe Biden can't get out of the basement for whatever reason, we're still going to have some awesome stuff happening. Jack says, let customers know more about your business by adding attributes to your business profile. Learn more highlights, plus black owned, plus veteran led, or plus woman led are the options when you hit the link. See, now that's interesting. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that. I think that that's got some potential, right? It would be good to know who's a veteran owned business. Uh, I'll tell you one of the things that I would like to know is does this business support conservative causes? You can look all day and see a huge list of companies that donate to liberal causes. Where is the list of companies that support conservative causes? A list of companies that donate to pro life uh, groups and organizations, companies that donate to Second Amendment uh, businesses that preserve the Constitution, the Heritage Foundation, stuff like that. You don't see that. I think that would be personally. I think that would be a good app to make. If any of you out there want to, you know what? That's a good point, Jack. Jack says veteran led, not owned. Veterans can't own a business, only lead them. Apparently, veterans aren't allowed to own a business now. It's it's all wordplay. It's all word games, and it really comes down to playing the game with your mind. Um, it's just the way that it is, and it's unfortunate because there are too many people out there that don't take the time to look at things like that and understand that we're being played, and it's sad. Uh, so I'm sure you've heard by now that Trump has nominated a Hoosier for the Supreme Court. Uh, Barrett, right? Amy Cohen Barrett, something like that. Should be interesting. I don't know that much about her. I do know that there are some people who claim no, no, bad, and some people that claim yay, yay, good. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. As far as I can tell, I know she used to clerk for Scalia, so I think that's a positive. But that's really all I know. I listened to part of her speech. Someone said something uh, about, I think she has some children that are adopted from Haiti, and there are people that are saying, oh, that's a bad thing. You know what? I guess adopting children now can be attacked by the left. It's the most ridiculous stuff, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. And it just shows that people will get triggered over anything. Everyone is either looking for a reason to say, yes, embrace this person, or a reason to say, uh, no, they're bad. We're going to utilize anything we can. We're going to attack them on anything we can. If it had been a man, you know good and well that there was a plan, a readiness. This person's bad. They touched me or whatever. But because it's a woman, they're not going to go that route. They're going to go with, we're just going to bash their history. We're going her children. It's sickness. It's a sickness. As a staunch conservative, as someone who believes in the character of people rather than their skin color, I would really like to see if it's at all possible for us to come together and really look, because I'm going to tell you what they have done with the confirmation process of the Supreme Court, with what they did to Kavanaugh. They have made it to where none of this stuff it doesn't mean anything anymore. We can't actually look into somebody's history unbiased. We can't go, well, this is a little interesting here. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Let's look at that. It's because of the sheer level of off the cliff on Kavanaugh. conservatives are automatically going to jump to the defense of any conservative judge that gets attacked. And I have to say, I don't blame them. I don't blame them. It's just like with Donald Trump. You can't, as a conservative, you can't say, hey, I kind of have a problem with this. I see what people are talking about when it comes to Trump, because then you're a rhino. And there's a reason for that, because the left has been on full attack mode since day one, that we need the other side of the coin. We can't play anymore. It has to be opposing sides for it to be even remotely fair, which is unfortunate. We don't get anything done that way. That's where I'm going to leave it for tonight. Tomorrow evening, we're going to have a few of the top echelon for Indiana NORML. That is the National Organization for the Reformation of Marijuana Laws. We're going to talk about the fight for legalization. We're going to see why they think it hasn't worked. Will it work moving forward? What if we get more conservatives into office that are willing to at least have the discussion? People like me. Can we make it happen? I think it'll be a very interesting conversation. I hope you'll join us. Just like always, 7 p.m. Central Time. And until then, God bless you, God bless Indiana, and God bless the United States of America. I love this country. Thank you for joining me.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Sean Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2020. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.